CBS News Bay Area Afternoon Edition with Ann Mekovic.
And right now in the afternoon edition, a look at new affordable housing set to open in the South Bay close to public transit. Good afternoon, I'm Ryan Yamamoto in for Ann. Some say it could help alleviate the housing crisis in Santa Clara County. And today, VTA unveiled phase one of its first transit-oriented development project, which promises 135 units of affordable housing and a 3,000 square foot child care facility. The development is situated right next to the San Jose Tamian Station. VTA says it's the first project of its kind in 25 years. One community member thinks this would be a good option for her family.
You know, this is Silicon Valley, so at the end of the day, prices they're pretty high up there. And a lot of community members nowadays are looking to get something more affordable for their family, since most of them are being, pushed away by, big corporations like Google.
67 of the units are designed to help move families out of homelessness. This is one of the 7 active projects that VTA is working on. The transit agency plans on creating a total of 1,600 units. 72% of them will be affordable. And the South Bay community is calling for the Santa Clara County Office of Education to reverse hundreds of teacher layoffs. The district is proposing layoffs for nearly 300 employees to close a $360 million budget hole. The cuts would include early childhood educators, special educators, and mental health counselors. Union leaders warn these layoffs target those working with the most vulnerable students. They're urging school leaders to find other options. Well, San Francisco Unified School Board is meeting today to discuss its latest proposal to close a budget gap. The district says it's closer to balancing its books, and the state overseers are allowing the district to hire 162 teachers. SFUSD had been under a year-long hiring freeze because of its nearly $114 million deficit. Well, it was a rough one for the Warriors fans watching Game 4 at Chase Center last night. The Dubs are now down 3-1 in the Western Conference semifinals. Jonathan Kuminga was the best Warriors player on the floor, scoring 23 off the bench. The turning point was Anthony Edwards fueling a 17-0 Minnesota run in the third quarter. Wolves won 117-110. The Warriors now must win Game 5 in Minnesota tomorrow to keep their season alive. Dub Nation is hopeful Steph Curry can return. And later today, the San Jose Earthquakes will host a block party and a free show by DJ Steve Aoki. They were testing the equipment and lights this morning. It is happening downtown, starting at 5. The celebration is leading up to the Earthquakes matchup against Miami FC at PayPal Park tomorrow. That soccer game is one of the hottest tickets in the Bay Area sports this week, since the Earthquakes are gearing up for the host, one of the most famous soccer stars in the world. Lionel Messi and his team enter Miami. Thousands of fans of all ages are hoping for a glimpse of the Argentinian World Cup champion. First alert weather right now, live look outside from our Mount Diablo camera. We're looking toward a slight warm-up. Let's check in with meteorologist Jessica Birch.
Oh, yeah, it's been beautiful for us today. Drier skies, finally. And yesterday was nice, too, because of the rain. It's always great when it just smells like rain outside. But here's what we're expecting as we head into the afternoon hours today. Throughout the Bay, we're gearing up for daytime highs sitting in the 60s and 70s, with high pressure starting to build in from offshore. This is going to do a couple things for us. It's going to warm us up, and it's going to dry us up. It changes the direction of the winds too. So into the coming days, we're going to see winds more pushing in from the north, but the storm track stays north of us, keeping us nice and dry, while the fronts up in the Pacific Northwest get splashed with just a little bit of showers there. So dry conditions for us throughout the afternoon hours today. Those coastal clouds are going to hold on tight to areas like Half Moon Bay up into Pacifica. And speaking of those coastal areas, they're the ones that are going to see some of the heaviest wind gusts today. Anywhere up to around 25 to 30 mile per hour winds expected from Bodega Bay, stretched all the way back down in Half Moon Bay. We'll also see that onshore breeze impact the Santa Clara Valley all the way up into Napa, throughout the Delta, up to around 20 mile per hour winds today, too. So I'll show you the rest of the week coming up in just a bit. But for now, back over to you.
All right, thanks, Jess. This just in, a judge has signed off on State Farm's emergency request to raise home insurance rates by 17%. The Chronicle first reporting the judge's decision. State Insurance Commissioner Ricardo Lara still needs to give the final sign-off. State Farm is calling the hike a, quote, rescue mission to help stabilize the insurer's financial position following the Los Angeles wildfires. If it is approved, the rate hike will take effect on June 1st. A check on Wall Street right now. Here's a live look at the big board. Right now, the Dow is trending in negative territory, down 176 points. That's after a 1,000 point positive net yesterday. And investors are reacting to the latest U.S. inflation report. Inflation slowed more than expected in April. Consumer prices rose 2.2% last month, bringing the annual inflation rate to 2.3%. That is the lowest annual rate since February of 2021, but some experts say it may not last. They believe tariff-related price adjustments will likely make their presence felt in the next few months. Well, some Bay Area business leaders are in Saudi Arabia representing NVIDIA and Uber. They are taking part in a U.S.-Saudi investment forum focused on energy, AI, and manufacturing. President Trump is also in Saudi Arabia. Saudi fighter jets escorted Air Force One as President Trump landed in Riyadh. Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman and a 21-gun salute greeted him at the royal court. The U.S. delegation with cabinet secretaries and advisor Elon Musk greeted Saudi officials. President Trump thanked the Saudis for their commitment to invest $600 billion in the U.S.
Purchasing a lot of different things, and I appreciate it. And you said, if you think $600 billion, but the $600 billion knowing it will be $1 trillion.
White House says it includes nearly $142 billion in defense sales, as well as investments in AI, data centers, infrastructure, and health care. From Saudi Arabia, the president heads to Qatar, where he faces questions over reports the royal family plans to donate a jumbo jet for his use. Democratic leaders called it an unethical offer, announced a hold on all Justice Department nominees. The Republican Senate Majority Leader also questioned the jet. California is one of the 20 states filing for 2 new immigration-related lawsuits against the Trump administration. State Attorney General Rob Bonta made that announcement this morning. He's suing the Department of Transportation and the Department of Homeland Security for adding immigration enforcement conditions to grant funding that has already been awarded to the state.
These grants are largely unrelated to federal civil immigration enforcement. These are funds that the federal government has because of the taxes paid to it by states like California, a donor state, meaning this is our money and the money of other states that he's holding hostage for his own unlawful gain.
California receives over $15 billion in transportation grants and over $20 billion in Homeland Security grants each year. Still ahead at noon and streaming on CBS News Bay Area, we introduce you to a Bay Area bonsai master whose work has spanned decades, how he can tell each tree's story. And here's a live look outside before we head to the break. We'll be right back. Well, we've been highlighting some incredible stories for Asian American Pacific Islander Month, and today we introduce you to Dennis Makashima. For more than 50 years, he has led a tiny but growing culture in the East Bay. Makashima is considered by many the master of aesthetic pruning and an influential figure in California's bonsai culture. That is the Japanese art of shaping and cultivating miniature trees. But a few years ago, he decided to quit and give it all away. I met the master himself to find out why. Give Dennis Makashima a tree.
I have some little buds here.
And a pair of pruning shears, and you will see him in his natural element.
So I like to think that I was meant to do this kind of work.
The kind of work that takes time.
But you got to think at least 5 years in advance.
That's patience.
Yeah, it's patience, and it's also it's a lesson in life.
It is a life that has grown for more than 50 years. Makashima, whose work as an aesthetic pruner, helping to shape the art of California's bonsai culture by giving each of the thousands of trees he has ever touched an actual voice.
There's the essence in every tree. Find it, bring it out. I could do the same thing with trees. I can make them talk to you. Part of the principle of aesthetic pruning and bonsai is, I feel, you got to tell a story.
His story begins with his father, who after World War II, when thousands of Japanese Americans returned home from the internment camps, many had trouble finding work.
My father was a gardener. He had to be a gardener because after World War II, you couldn't get another job. So when I was growing up, I was embarrassed by what my father did.
But ironically, one day after helping a friend prune a tree, Makashima quickly realized he had the eye. You just naturally saw it.
Not naturally. Well, when I first started, I kind of sensed. Then I realized this was just meant to be. But I don't think I call it fate. It was just something that I was destined to do, this kind of stuff.
Destiny would take him to Japan, where he would learn the art of the bonsai from the masters and was honored by the country. But of all of his accomplishments, Makashima is most proud of branching out to the next generation.
You lose kind of time concept.
Students like Yuki Nara, one of 106 apprentices who carry on his legacy.
As a human being, I respect, I love him so much. I learned from him. Without him, I wouldn't be able to doing this.
Even teaching this reporter what not to do.
Cut this part off.
This whole thing?
Mm-hmm.
So from this little
That's right,
knob
that's
right
right,
there?
That's right.
Okay.
So you just ruined the tree, but that's okay.
Just ruined the tree.
It's good to be humble.
His sense of humor as big as his heart. During his career, he had accumulated more than 600 bonsai, his backyard resembling a tiny forest.
It was creative to pack in so many trees without looking like they were stacked on each other. But individually, they all had a story, and I worked on each one.
And then 3 years ago, Dennis felt he had completed their stories and decided to stop and give them all away.
I completed the goal. Then I started realizing I'm just looking at these trees now.
He donated them to the Golden State Bonsai Collection in Oakland, who sold them to raise money for their garden.
The trees are probably worth about $1 million, but they made about $150,000 because it was an auction. People came from all around California, and some people outside of California.
And after 50 years cultivating his own story, Dennis Makashima also deciding it too was complete.
So if you're gonna go out that way. I also thought I made a difference in the bonsai world.
But even in retirement, his legacy will continue to grow through the students he has taught, through the trees he has touched. Well, you can find all of our stories for API Heritage Month on KPIX.com, but be sure to watch our special, Legacy and Leadership. That's next Thursday, May 22nd at 7:30 p.m. and May 24th at 7 p.m. Back to our first alert weather. Let's give you a live look outside toward Marin County. Let's check back in with meteorologist Jessica Birch. Hey, Jess.
Beautiful conditions out there right now, Ryan. As we head into the afternoon hours today, we're gearing up for some warm weather off into our inland spots. Still holding on tight to some 60s just along the coast and all the way down into places like Redwood City, too. So as we head a little bit more north, it was yesterday we were talking about 60s widespread from Nevada all the way up into Santa Rosa. We're starting to crank up that warmth to just a little bit more this afternoon. High pressure starting to ridge its way in like we talked about earlier, so it's going to warm us up the rest of this week. It's also going to dry us up, too. Yesterday we had that quick splash of showers sweeping throughout the Bay Area. As this system starts to creep its way in, it keeps the storm track to the north of us, up into the Pacific Northwest. So back here locally, it's going to change the direction of the winds. It'll still bring in some partly cloudy skies at times. That's not going to get completely diminished. However, we will start to see warmer weather and some gusty afternoons ahead of us, kind of like what we're seeing today. Gusts today anywhere up to around 20-30 miles per hour along our coastline. It looks pretty similar around the dinnertime hours tonight, all the way off into the east, too. So we're keeping a close eye on that. We're also keeping a close eye on those rain chances, which are completely at zero right now, which is not bad news. I mean, you take a look at the next 7 days. We're in for a treat. We're going to warm up from the low 70s to the low 80s from today into our Thursday forecast. And then we're continuing to stay nice and mild with 70s and 80s flirting back and forth with each other heading into next week with sunnier skies just at the end of the tunnel, the light at the end of the tunnel. Now, as we head over into the Bay, it's pretty much the same trend. Temperatures are just a little bit cooler. We're sitting in the 60s now, 70s heading into Thursday and Friday to kick off the weekend nice and warm in areas like Oakland and across that beautiful Bay Bridge you see behind me over into San Francisco, too. We'll flirt back and forth with 60s and 70s heading into this weekend and early next week. It's a mild forecast. It's a dry forecast. We got about a half an inch of rain yesterday all the way over into the Oakland Hills, but it's looking a lot nicer for us as we wrap up this week. Back to you.
All right, thanks, Jess. Well, still ahead, Kim Kardashian in Paris to testify in court. What she said on the stand about being robbed at gunpoint. Well, the long-awaited resentencing hearing for the Menendez brothers is underway right now in Los Angeles. After 7 months of hearings, court filings, and news conferences, Lyle and Eric Menendez face the possibility of freedom. For the next 2 days, a judge will hear from both the defense and prosecutors on whether they are rehabilitated after serving more than 30 years of a life prison sentence for the 1989 murders of their parents. In New York, more testimony in the sex trafficking and racketeering trial of Sean Diddy Combs. Combs' ex-girlfriend and R&B singer Cassie Ventura has taken the stand, describing allegations of abuse, saying, quote, control was everything. Her testimony is expected to last the entire week. And celebrity billionaire Kim Kardashian testified in Paris today at the trial of a gang accused of robbing her at gunpoint in 2016. The reality TV icon cried as she recalled the night of the robbery. She told the court she thought she was going to be raped and killed as masked men bound her with zip ties and duct tape, stealing up to $9 million in jewels, including a $4 million engagement ring from her then husband, rapper Kanye West. Kardashian said the attackers stormed her hotel suite dressed as police officers, holding the concierge in handcuffs. The French media has dubbed the alleged attackers the grandpa robbers because the 9 men and 1 woman are mostly in their 60s and 70s. All but 2 of them deny any involvement in the robbery. The trial is expected to last until May 23rd. Coming up, plenty of music coming to the Bay Area this summer. We look at the just-released lineups for this year's Portola Festival. Well, the Bay Area is home to a lot of music festivals, and we just got this year's Portola Festival lineup. There's some big name stars like Christina Aguilera, and their other artists include Dom Dolla, Malpi, and San Francisco native Crenshaw. The dance party hits Pier 80 in San Francisco September 20th and 21st. Tickets go on sale Thursday at noon. A 2-day general admission ticket starts at nearly $400. Single-day tickets at $280. That's it for the afternoon edition. Remember, we're streaming 24/7 on the free CBS News app. Our next newscast is at 5. Hope you have a great afternoon.